Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Domvec podcast and the Connecticut High School Lacrosse Preview Series. On the last edition of the series, the two-time reigning CIC Class L state champion Staples Wreckers joined the podcast. Ben Burmeister, Josh Marcus, and Max Murillo are three of the five captains at Staples. They want to capture the school's first ever FCAC title as well as a third consecutive CIC Class L state championship. Hey guys, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, everyone's going good.
Doing good. So, first question: what or who inspired you to play lacrosse?
I'll start with that question. I'd say my dad inspired me to play lacrosse. He was a big lacrosse player himself. And just throughout my whole life, he's from when I was a young kid. He's sort of like had me have a stick in my hand and just like influenced me to get in the backyard and play just from a young age, stuff like that.
For me, it was a little different. I played in California my first year, so I only really played because all my friends were playing. I just wanted to be part of that, part of like the social experience. I didn't really fall in love with it till later. But yeah, I was just inspired. I just want to be part of the experience with my friends.
I went the same route Josh did. My father also played a lot of lacrosse when he was growing up and in school, so he also introduced it to me as a young age and coached me at the beginning, almost first grade, second grade, and he was my first coach, so that's the way that I got into it.
So, going off of that, how was your experience playing youth lacrosse?
As well as Max just said, my dad also was my first coach, so he coached me all throughout youth. I definitely had a great time playing under him, and he's still coaching us today in high school, so it's definitely a big help having him on the sidelines. And in youth, growing up playing with all like your best friends that you've been friends with throughout kindergarten and first grade, it's definitely a good time. It's sort of like what makes you fall in love with the sport to begin with. It was definitely like a great time just to get in the field. Like it was before anything got serious. It was just sort of like just to go out there and have fun, kind of.
Yeah, I agree. I think the best part about youth lacrosse is definitely playing with your friends. Like I met so many guys and so many people that I'm still friends with today that I've been playing with since I was in second or third grade because of lacrosse. So that's probably the most meaningful part. And also learning all the basics with a lot of the coaches. Like Coach Steve Anderson was our coach multiple times and along youth. So growing up and him still being with us and being one of our first actual technical coaches who were teaching us more than just how to catch and throw and teaching us the X's and O's, and then him carrying it with us and now being our coach at Staples too, one of the assistant coaches. It's been really helpful.
We also have a ton of the guys that we play with in youth are still like a big part of the team now, which is really cool. Like we've come so far. It's cool to see.
So, what has your club programs meant to you, and how have they helped you as a player?
My club team, I joined kind of late. Like a lot of the guys were already part of it, but they welcomed me in. Like I felt like I was part of the family right away. Coach Schreiber's been amazing, especially with recruiting. Like he believed in me the whole way. Even like when I joined back in sixth grade, I was clearly not the best on the team. Like I almost felt like I didn't really deserve to be on it. But he believed in me the whole way. Really helped me develop my confidence as a player. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't be where I am today without him or my teammates.
For me as well, I started pretty late on this team. I started in sixth grade as well. I used to play for CT Wolves before that, but in sixth grade, the club director, Jamie Hanford, my dad is like good buddies with him, so he just asked if I wanted to play for them, and I did, and it was probably one of the best decisions I made as like a youth lacrosse player. I love my team. I've known them now for like 4, 5, 6 years each, and it's just great to like play with them and develop our chemistry, and I'll hopefully play against a bunch of them in college, you know what I mean? So I think it's definitely helped me a lot.
Yeah, I had a different experience. I played on a couple of teams, and my team, I never played on the top team for Eclipse, so a lot of guys moved around a lot, went to other clubs trying to find more opportunities, but I stuck with mine. I never got too close with the guys on my team. I was friendly with them, and I still am friendly with some of them more than others, but I had a hard time playing hard in the summer ball because I wasn't very close to my teammates, and a lot of the reason that I think I play like hard and work really hard is because I like play for the guys around me, like Ben or Josh or people on my team. So it was hard to find that sort of element playing club lacrosse with guys I didn't really know. But the coaches were great, and Coach Kachansky also helps out with the Clips, and Coach Basti is actually the head coach here, also at Sacred Heart. He helped me out a lot. So everyone being really close and the coaches staying consistent and some of the players staying consistent helped a lot.
So, how was your recruitment? What was your final schools, and why did you choose your particular schools in the end?
Uh, so my recruitment was a little different because I'm a goalie. So goalies go a lot quicker. Like in the first few weeks, most goalies in my class were already committed. For me, it was I like sort of narrowed down like to my top three schools pretty early, which were uh, North Carolina, obviously, and then Michigan and Penn State. I just I loved both those schools. It was like the hardest decision I've ever made in my life. They were both amazing. Both coaching staffs were great to me. With North Carolina, I just one of the coaches there, Coach Petramala, he coached my dad in at Hopkins, and I've sort of known him my whole life. So that was probably like the biggest influence biggest influence on me. Like the biggest reason why I chose North Carolina. Just I thought it was extremely special, the opportunity to play for the same guy that developed my dad and made him into the man he is, and sort of yeah. And Michigan and Penn State were other great options. There's not many like schools that have the facilities that they do, but the coaching staff at North Carolina with that coach Petramala, he definitely is what got me to make my decision.
For me, the recruiting process was a little overwhelming, to be honest. Like when unlike like Josh kind of knew going into it what it was going to look like. A lot of schools are going to reach out. I didn't really because I wasn't as big of a recruit until just before September came around. So it was a lot, kind of like it took a lot of social battery. I felt like a lot of communicating in ways that I hadn't before, like keeping a lot of relationships going. But my high school and club coaches prepared me really well. They set up like meetings whenever I needed it, whenever I felt like I was a little behind. Like they've all been through it before, obviously, so they were a huge help. And then as far as choosing Notre Dame, I also narrowed it down. I wanted a school that obviously played really good lacrosse and then had good academics. And obviously there are so many options, but I narrowed it down to my top three, which was Cornell, Michigan, or top four: Cornell, Michigan, North Carolina, Notre Dame. I visited all of them. And Notre Dame, just like when I got to be part of the locker room, like hung out with the guys throughout that weekend, it was different. I felt like they were all very similar to me, similar values. I felt like I just fit in really, really well there. And that's what set it apart. It was just like the guys on the team in the locker room. And the other three options were great as well, just not as much for me as Notre Dame was. I knew right away.
Yeah, just quickly on top of that, you said Notre Dame, you wanted a good school and a team that's a good program. I definitely think that was also one of the bigger things. My biggest thing going into recruiting was where can I go that I will have a good chance at winning a national championship. And I think with the future of North Carolina, I think we do have a good chance. I think that was probably also the biggest thing besides the coaching staff.
I went definitely a very different way than they did. I wasn't a big recruit at all. Going into September 1st, that junior year, I didn't stay up or anything. I kind of just knew what I was, and I was kind of thinking I might play Division III or maybe low-end Division I schools that I wasn't very interested in. And going into my spring season last year, I was still in the same boat. I didn't think I really wanted to play college lacrosse, neither even halfway through that season. And by the end of the season, I thought that I had put myself in position, playing a new position, where I could probably play at a school that I thought I was good enough to be at. And that summer went by, and I didn't really go to any showcases or any thing like that. I just played on my club team. Nothing really happened, and so going into the end of the summer, I was pretty content with going to school, just as a normal admitted student. And I went up to Prospect Day at Yale, and that's where I was seen by Providence, and I talked to them for a couple weeks up until August, until they committed a different guy. And so then everything kind of just went quiet for a couple months, and I knew that was probably what was going to happen, and I was pretty content with that because that's the way I had been feeling for the past year and a half, and I didn't really think I was going to play college lacrosse, and it ended up not being too high up on my radar as I was like submitting applications to other schools and stuff too. So then I got a call from Providence a couple months later in October telling me that they had a guy decommit, just like they said to me a couple months earlier that if that guy did decommit, they were going to call me, and they did, and I visited a couple days later and committed a couple days after that. So that's the way it went for me, and I didn't really have much communication with any other schools. I'm just Quinnipiac, but that wasn't a school that I was very interested in just because I wanted a school with some better academics than that, and I wanted to go to a school that I knew that I wanted to go to even if I didn't play lacrosse. So that was big for me when I was making my decisions and why I didn't want to play Division III or some other Division I schools, because I wanted to go to a school that I would enjoy even if I wasn't on the team. And then making my final decision with Providence was kind of hard, just because I didn't know if that was the school that I wanted to be at, and that was the way that I felt also when I was talking to for most of the summer. I didn't really know how I was feeling with that, but when I went up there and I visited, Coach Benson and Coach Bertison definitely made me feel at home. We have a player, Leo Sequenzia, who was on the team last year, who goes there now and says that he really enjoyed it. So it did take some selling by the coaches for me to finally feel comfortable committing, but after I did, I definitely think I made the right choice.
So when the clock struck 12 a.m. on September 1st, how was that experience?
Like I said, I didn't really know what to expect, because going into, I didn't play much my sophomore year on my high school team. I wasn't ranked or anything like that. So going into the summer, I was pretty confident that, I was going to be very happy to take whatever I could get. I didn't really know what it was. And then on August 31st, so the day leading up to September 1st, I got ranked by NLF, and that was the first time I'd ever seen my name on anything like that. So that was the first time I kind of realized, I was like, hey, maybe it could be pretty big. My coach texted me, make sure you stay up, we'll see what's going to come. But still, I wasn't really sure what it was going to look like. So obviously it was a dream come true. That's what everyone wants. So, eventually when it did hit 12, a bunch of my dream schools were calling. It was amazing. But it took a lot out of me, trying to balance school with having calls with coaches, every day. It was a lot. Obviously I'm super grateful for it. I would never complain about it. It was one of the best experiences of my life, I say, but I wouldn't want to do it again, just because it was a lot, and I'm super, super happy and satisfied with the choice I made and where it ended up. So yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, mine was nothing like that. I had no clue that. I knew at the time that I wasn't gonna play, or I didn't know at the time, but I had no expectations of any sort of September 1st call or text. Then I didn't communicate with any coaches up until Providence a year and a half after that. So, or actually 10 months after that. But so just any other night to me.
So switching over to high school ball, what is it like to play in Tier 1 of the FCAC with a difficult non-conference schedule every year?
I think it's exactly where we want to be every single year. We never want to, the last 2 or 3 years since I've been on the team, every single year Coach K says this is the hardest schedule we've ever had, and it always is. It is always getting harder and harder. I think that's exactly what we want, because that's the only way that we're going to get recognized the way that we want to be. Everyone in our huddle knows that we should compete with the best, and we're one of the best teams in the country, but the only way we can show that to the rest of the country, the rest of the teams that we're playing, is by playing against the best. So I think it's exactly where we want to be, and hopefully after we're gone next year, even after Josh is gone, it keeps getting harder and harder, and we're always in this position where, if we play like we know we can play, we're playing against teams that can put us in the rankings where we deserve to be at.
Yeah, we're definitely really excited with this and want all the challenges that we can get. So there's no fear in our huddle or from our guys about going out and playing St. Anthony's at St. Anthony's or hosting Brunswick late in May. So that's where we want to be. And when we talk about who we want to play that year, Coach K makes an emphasis that he wants to be the best program in the country. And a lot of our guys think we can do that, and I think it is hard trying to convince some of the guys that don't know that, but we do think that we have the guys that if we could put it all together, it could happen that way. Obviously, right now it might not be the most realistic thing, especially looking in from the outside to our program, but the reason we have this hard of a schedule is that if we can win all of our games, that we will be the number one team in the country. So if we beat St. Anthony's, if we beat Brunswick, if we beat St. John's, there really wouldn't be any debate. And maybe that doesn't happen, but we want to give ourselves the opportunity that if it does and we work as hard as we can, we play as well as we can, that we can put ourselves in that position and have the number one spot, because really that is the end goal. More than the state championship and more than an FCX championship, we want to show ourselves nationally.
So in 2023, Staples had a very successful season with an appearance in the FCX semifinals and a CIC Class L state title. How was the season overall, and what moments did you reflect on after the season was done?
To be honest, when I think about last season, more than the wins and losses, I think about the seniors a lot. They were a great group of leaders and also a great group of friends. Definitely, I miss them, having them in school, having them around practice. Obviously, the state championship was amazing to have as an accomplishment, but to be able to give that to them, like for that to be the way that they went out was really, really cool for me. So just like generally when I think back on last spring, I think about the guys more than I think about, the wins and the losses and goals, whatever it is. While those were amazing because they added to the experience, I really think about, just like the relationships we had. And I think that's part of the reason why we were so good, why we won the state championship, because we played for each other, we played harder as a group because we were so tight. And I hope that we can bring that this year as well.
Yeah, going off of that, I think that last state championship, the 2023 one, sort of is what solidified us as a top team in the state. And like he was saying, I think our locker room is probably just as, if not like closer than any other team in the state or in the country. All of our guys, whether it's us three, Cisco and Sam, the captains, or like Max Hill, Nate Murillo, like two freshmen on the team who just joined this program. I talk to Nate Murillo in the hallways all the time, who's Max's brother. Max Hill, I talk to him all the time, and Hunter Pillai. I think I just have such a good relationship with everyone on the team. There's not really many guys that I don't stop to talk to in the hallway and stuff. I think that's what separates us as a program.
Yeah, I'd agree. And that's definitely something that Coach K has brought into our culture. Off season, we're always freshmen to seniors. Everyone's together all off season, all preseason. We're all together. Most of the practices during the season, we're starting to practice a lot more JV and varsity to keep everybody closer. Make sure everybody's competing at the same level and being held to the same standard. But just like Josh said and Ben said, we are all so close. When we're after practice and you're going to get food, there's kids from freshmen, sophomore, junior, seniors. There really isn't any just seniors going or just juniors. Everybody is so close. And that's also what I've looked back on last year. The state championship was amazing, and that whole run that we had was great, and some great wins along the way. But some guys on that team that I consider some of my great friends today, even though I haven't seen them in a couple months because they've been at college, everybody still thinks about them. And I've said it before, I would have rather played another junior season instead of my senior season if it meant I got to do it again with that same group of guys. But we're really excited about the group of guys we have this year. And just like Josh said, there's some freshmen, there's some sophomores that weren't on the team, and a big part of it last year that we think will have a good impact, if not on the field, just in the locker room because everybody's so close.
So going into this season, how are you preparing for the season? What do you think about your schedule this spring?
Yeah, going into the season, this off season, we've been together since after the break, after holidays, almost every day together, if not 5 days a week, whether that's lifting, playing practices before school, after school, on the weekends. So everybody's been very close and been working really hard. I'm very proud of the way that a lot of the team has rose to the occasion, especially some of the younger guys that have had to step into roles that they didn't know they might have to going into the season. And we're 2 weeks into preseason now, and it's really awesome seeing how we've improved, I think, every single day. Even though we have a lot of guys that aren't on the field right now, whether they're playing other sports or just a little banged up, the team still looks great. So we keep getting more and more guys back, and we keep getting more and more ready for the season. And speaking of the schedule, it definitely is the hardest schedule that we've ever seen for Staples, but I don't think there's any sort of shyness from the teams that we're going to play coming from our locker room. So everybody's ready for the challenge, and everybody wants to go out there and play the best that we can. So nobody's scared and nobody's upset with the schedule. Everybody's really excited.
Yeah, I don't think there's a team that we can't compete with. There's no team where we look at, Brunswick, for example, is probably one of the better teams that we play this season. I'm not looking at them oh, this is terrible, why are we playing them? We're going to lose. I'm looking at them they're circled on the calendar. I'm ready for that game. I want that game to come. I think we're going to beat this team. I think we're going to surprise all of Connecticut or whoever else is watching the game with a huge win.
Definitely. Yeah. I think aside, Max talked about preseason, but I think something that we recently in the last couple of years, we as a program have done a really good job of is preparing mentally throughout the entire off season. We have Wisdom Wednesdays, so after lifts, we meet as a team. It can be anything from going over our clear to talking about our goals to talking about how we should mentally prepare for the biggest season we've had, how we should think of ourselves being back-to-back state champions, because there's a lot that comes with that. And on the mental side, we have to be prepared to, defend the state championships or whatever it is. We talk about our mindset a lot, and I think that translates really well to the season. We're more prepared than I think anyone else in the state in that aspect, aside from on the field.
So, what are some of your individual and team goals for this year?
Obviously, FCIAC and state championship, that's not only a goal, but I think that's kind of expected at this point. We know we can compete in our own state, in our own league, every single year. So I think from now on, that's always going to be the goal for Staples Lacrosse. Individually, I would like to be a bit more consistent. Obviously, I played good games last year, but I also had a lot of bad games. I had games where I had, 0, 1, 2 points on the board, which that's not going to be enough this year. If I can consistently have good game after good game after good game, that would be, that's what I'm going for.
Speaking off the team goals that Ben was saying about the FCX State Championship, that is expected this year, and I think we're very fortunate to be a program that can say that with confidence that that is the expectation. And from my personal point of view, if that goal isn't achieved, whether we don't get both those or we don't get one of those, there is a sense of disappointment with the way the season went. It'd be great to have a great season and love all the guys in the team like we talked about. Like that is really that's why I play, is to have this kind of special relationship with all these guys. And I know that next year I'll be talking to Josh just as much as I do now, even though I'm at college. But as a team and to put another trophy in the case, if we don't do that this year, there is a big sense of disappointment and maybe a sense of failure on how the season went.
Competing for a championship has become the standard in Staples Lacrosse. And just like I think, like Max said, there would definitely be a huge disappointment if we lose. And I think Coach K would probably be upset. He would definitely be happy with the team because whatever, coaches are always happy at the end of the season, with the guys. They love the guys because he's developed us. But I definitely think he will feel like we didn't achieve something we definitely had the potential to achieve. And on top of that, for personal goals, I would say last year I was hurt, so I was out for the first 8 weeks of the season. I would say just my goal this year is just to make sure I'm healthy and play every single game of the entire season and be there for my guys every step of the way.
So overall, what has Staples High School meant to you guys, and what do you want your legacies to be there?
Staples High School has taught me so much, not only a lacrosse program, but I said in my signing day speech a couple weeks ago that I always look forward to going to practice or going to class because of the people I'm surrounded with. The culture there is amazing. Obviously provided me with so many friends, but the teachers, coaches, and my peers, they've created such a positive environment, and I hope I continue that and provided that for other people. And I want to leave Staples in a place where, speaking for lacrosse program, I want the kids in the youth program now to, see us winning state championships and being so successful and believing, seeing that's going to be me someday. It's not even a question. They know that they're going to be competing for the same things. And I'm confident that, the guys under me and Coach K are going to, uphold that standard that we've brought the program to right now. But I want them to be able to, be confident in their abilities and what they're going to do in high school, because I never saw anyone win a state championship when I was growing up, and it would have been amazing to have those role models and have those goals at such a young age, because then we're putting Westport youth lacrosse in a place where maybe people are moving to Westport so they can be part of such an amazing program, and we have the legacy kind of just compounds and builds on itself at that point if it trickles all the way down to the youth.
Yeah, I definitely think the legacy part does come from more than just what's on the field. Like Ben was saying, being at Staples is such an amazing culture. It's such a great environment. It's such loving people, staff, administration, students too. I think that there's such a great bond that is going on there, whether it's from me and Ben, who have our favorite cafeteria lady who makes our sandwich for us, all the way to the principal who I have a good relationship with. So I think at Staples, which is different than a lot of the schools that I've heard about around the FCIAC or around the state, has such a great loving atmosphere that people love to be a part of. But for legacy, personally, I think that it's really awesome. My favorite part and the thing that brings me probably most fulfillment, whether it's more than holding up a state championship that me and Josh have done for football and lacrosse now, is when a little kid comes up and asks about you and is Max Murillo or Josh Marcus, like, or Ben Burmeister, like, how are you, and like trying to talk to you. And what we talk about a lot in sports is at Staples is that kids want to wear number 3 because they saw how great Ben Burmeister played, but also how hard he worked, and being a role model for those kids and growing up, like Ben said, with that goal in mind. We didn't see anyone win a state championship, but instilling that belief in these kids early, and even at such a young age. We also coach a lot of clinics, and we do a good job, I think, giving back to a lot of the youth, and not only seeing them watch it on the YouTube, the live streams, or also being at the game and seeing that success, but being in person, being able to talk to them about it, and coach them and show them what it means to work that hard is what really makes them believe that, and they're going to grow up and they're going to work even harder because they know that winning state championship is possible, and actually doing that is definitely achievable.
Yeah, going off what Max and Ben both said, just the culture around Staples, like, I feel like at some schools, teachers wouldn't really care about anything out of their class or other classes, whatever, but at Staples, all of my teachers want to help me. They want to make sure I'm eligible to play. They want to make sure I'm getting good grades, and but on top of that, they'll also, like, at the end of class, they'll be like, how's practice going? How's the team looking? I know I see Mr. Farnan, who's one of our assistant principals. I see him in the hallway every single day, and he'll just ask me, like, how's practice yesterday? How's the team going? Like, how you guys looking for this year? And that just makes me feel so good, because I just know that everyone at Staples is backing us. Everyone wants us to win. And like, even like my math teacher, Mr. Cucaro, I know he came to a bunch of the football games. He's a big fan of just Staples sports in general. And as far as like legacy goes, I feel like it goes more than just Staples. It's sort of like the whole Westport community. Like Max was talking about, we do a bunch of clinics, and all these kids are like, if you do something good, Coach Anderson gives them a jersey, like if they win a competition, and they're all asking for specific numbers just so they can like embody the players that they want to be one day.
Yeah, and that, to me personally, winning a championship is awesome to talk about, and to have your ring and show that off is cool and all, but definitely 5 years down the road from now, that's what is going to be valued most, is how these kids felt about us, and the way that we give back to them is definitely more valuable than any sort of championship that we could win.
So thank you for watching this edition of the Domvec podcast and the Connecticut High School Lacrosse Preview Series. This is the conclusion of the series, with the season starting shortly in late March. Thank you for all the players and schools who came on, and good luck to them this season. Thank you for joining me today, and have a great day, everyone, and hit the like button and subscribe for more sports content.